D-backs baseball on this sunny Sunday, brought to you by Sanderson Ford. July is here, and it finds the D-backs leading their division, but with the Giants tied for second right on their heels. Series finale against San Francisco starts now on Fox Sports Arizona. Good afternoon from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthew, Bob Brindley along the way. It's the D-backs and the Giants. A couple of hot pitchers going in this one. Derek Holland for San Francisco. And for the D-backs, Bob, Zach Godley, who's won 4 starts in a row.
Yeah, if you talk about staff aces, it would probably be Zach Greinke against Madison Bumgarner. But these two guys have actually pitched better than anybody else in their respective rotations recently. Zach Godley's won his last 4 starts, an ERA just a tick over 3. Opponents hitting only .235. He hasn't been dominating. Very workmanlike, making pitches when he needs to.
Zach coming off a win over the Marlins in Miami on Tuesday. He's up against the lefty Derek Holland, who's put up very good numbers in his last 4 starts.
He's on quite a roll himself, 2-1 over that time with a .238 ERA. He's coming off a season-high 6 2/3 innings pitched against the Rockies. He took a no decision in a 3-2 Giants win in that game.
D-backs and the Giants first pitches coming up on Fox Sports Arizona. D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Tire Pros of Arizona, everything rotates around you. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. Score free Jumbo Jacks only at Jack in the Box. by Chaz Roberts, Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. And by Gila River Hotels and Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up for the card today. Welcome back inside Chase Field. D-backs in their Sunday red as we are set to take on the Giants in the series finale here. And before we get underway, it's time to honor America with the voice of Chase Field, Mr. Chuck Drago.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask that you please rise and please remove your hats. Please direct your attention to the field as we honor the United States of America and pay tribute to our veterans, active duty, and retired men and women of our armed services. The Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants invite you to join in the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner, performed by Ahwatukee Brass Quintet.
Ahwatukee Brass Quintet with our national anthem. And we are just about set for baseball inside Chase Field. Welcome in, Steve Berthew, Bob Brenly, Kate Longworth with you. Arthur Soria, Rodrigo Lopez with our Spanish language broadcast on Fox Sports Arizona. Plus, it's D-backs baseball brought to you by Sanderson Ford. The D-backs and the Giants, and these sneaky Giants, they're 4 over 500 now. They're tied for second in the NL West. They're only 3.5 games behind the Diamondbacks. And here is their starting lineup tonight, presented by your Valley Chevy dealer.
Gorkys Hernandez will lead it off this afternoon. He'll be out in center field. Brandon Belt over at first base. Andrew McCutchen once again in right field. Brandon Crawford with a big home run off a curveball. Got to be careful of that pitch against him today. He'll be at shortstop. Nick Hundley doing the catching. Pablo Sandoval at third base. Austin Slater out in left field. Joe Panik at second base. And lefty Derek Holland on the mound.
It's right-hander Zach Godley, who's your Ram Truck starting pitcher for the D-backs. He leads the staff with 9 wins this season. Zach has won 4 starts in a row and 5 of his last 6.
Yeah, I mentioned in the open of the show, not exactly dominating over his last 4 starts, but much like the Diamondbacks offense in the month of April and early June, just doing enough, making pitches when he has to get out of trouble.
Oh, look around the diamond at the D-backs defense today. Brought to you by E.D. Marshall Jewelers.
Little different look for Torey Lovullo today. Christian Walker getting the start out in left field. Gerard Dyson in center. David Peralta slides over to right field this afternoon. Jake Lamb and Nick Ahmed on their customary left side of the infield. Chris Owings slides into second base with Paul Goldschmidt at first. John Ryan Murphy doing the catching for right-hander Zach Godley.
Adrian Johnson is the plate umpire today, calling the balls and strikes. Trip Gibson at first base. The crew chief Ted Barrett there he is at second, and Chad Whitson is at third. Time, Bob, for your Valley Honda dealers. Key to the game.
Well, observant Diamondbacks fans know what the key usually is game 3 of the series. After the Diamondbacks have won the first 2, well, the key today is no sweep. We can't let the Giants come into our house and take 3 in a row.
Yeah, I notice it's a much subdued sweep. You don't have the exclamation
There it is. There we
Oh.
go. See, it just took a while. Just you got to let it marinate.
Very high production value for the key to the game today. Gorkys Hernandez, the center fielder, looks at a fastball, and we're underway. Hernandez, 287. He's got 10 homers. He singled twice in his start in center field last night.
And one thing to watch for Zack Godley is he continues to try to tweak his mechanics and get more on line to home plate, stopped running away from his pitches. We saw a big improvement in Miami. Very few pitches did he really tumble off to the first base side of the mound.
There's that cutter foul back, and it's 1-2. Yeah, that's the way Torey Lovello likes to put it, almost running away from the pitch, as you mentioned. It's an odd visual sometimes.
Yeah, and as we talked about in Zack Godley's past starts, it's not unusual for a pitcher to fall off to his glove side after delivering the pitch, but the key is to do it after delivering the pitch, not while you're delivering the pitch. That causes him to pull that curveball over into the left-handed batter's box, spray the fastball around a little bit.
Got John Ryan Murphy behind the plate this afternoon. Ahead of Hernandez, 1-2. Yes, he went, says Trip Gibson. A good start for Zack Godley.
No doubt about it. Good start for Zack Godley. A check swing on a curveball. Going to say that a lot today.
Hopefully, yeah. Brandon Belt bats second, the first baseman, 291. He leads the Giants with those 13 homers. D-backs put the shift on. Fastball away, misses. Belt is singled and walked twice in the series.
Belt's put up solid power numbers, even though he missed a couple weeks with that emergency appendectomy that he had earlier this season.
Well, if he could just stay healthy. Remember, he missed the final 2 months of last year with a concussion. He was hit in the head by an Anthony Banda curveball. And even missing the last 2 months, he matched his career high last season with 18 home runs. It's funny, Giants have not had a first baseman hit 30 homers since Will Clark in '87.
Wow. And you would think at AT&T Park, the stadium that was built for Barry, or that Barry built, however you want to look at it, Brandon Belt can pull that ball down the right field line into McCovey Cove as well. He may be the beneficiary in the long run.
Got that cutter in on Belt, and it's 2-2. McCutchen homered here last night. He'll be next. Fell off the mound a bit that time with that changeup that sailed too far away from the left-hander. And it's a full count, 3-2. Again, falling off the side of the mound, the cutter got away, and Belt, who's a very disciplined hitter, has a one-out walk.
Yeah, he really tumbled off to the first base side on this 3-2 cutter.
Well, Torey was telling us this morning, Zack is a big, burly, husky guy, and he pitches with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of momentum out there. And when he gets worked up a bit, sometimes it's hard to control that size. He's a big dude out there. They call him the Bull for a reason.
Well, former D-back Mike Morgan would tell Zack Godley, all you have to control is your head. Mike Morgan used to say that your head is 15 to 18% of your body weight. Wherever your head goes, that's where the rest of your body is going to follow. So if you can keep your head and shoulders on line to your target at home plate, it stands to reason that the rest of the body is going to go where the head goes.
He generates a lot of physical momentum with that size. Good curveball there to start off McCutchen, throwing it for a strike. That's critical. There's a fly ball to right field. David Peralta's out there today. 2 outs.
Shortstop, number 35,
Brandon Crawford. He homered and walked twice last night. He scored 3 runs in this series. He is baseball's hottest hitter over the last 2 months.
Homered on a Shelby Miller curveball last night. 313, now 10 home runs. Crawford has also homered off Zach Godley this year. Last month at AT&T Park. Took him deep in San Francisco. There's a changeup that Adrian Johnson says is strike two. We know about the curveball and its importance to Zach Godley, but look at the adjustment that Crawford has made against curveballs this year. He's hitting over 400 on curveballs. The home run he hit off Shelby Miller was a curveball down and in last night.
Yeah, not a bad pitch. Ball was below the knees inside. He went down and golfed it out of here to right field.
With a swing at that one, Zach put it in a good spot. 2 strikeouts. He strands the walk. Zach Godley, he got Hernandez to start the first. He got Crawford to finish it off. And now the D-backs are coming up against Derek Collins. For the Giants, Derek Holland, 31-year-old lefty, 5-7 in 16 starts. The ERA about 4.25, but he's pitched much better than that lately.
Has a full complement of pitches. He'll throw a 4-seam fastball up in the zone. He'll throw a 2-seam sinker down when he's looking for ground balls. His best off-speed pitch is probably the big curveball. Also has a slider and a changeup.
His third start against the D-backs this year, but his first here at Chase. Dyson 185. He's got 2 homers. He leads it off. Here comes Sandoval from third. There's a fastball for a strike. Gerard has hit safely in 6 of his last 7 games. That bunt base hit becoming a bigger weapon for him lately. Dropped down a beauty last night.
This is a similar defensive alignment that we see used against Billy Hamilton a lot. Not only do the corner infielders come in to protect against a bunt, but even the middle infielders cheat in a couple of steps. You can see how shallow Joe Panik is at second base, just in case he does try to bunt that ball to the right side.
Holland moving that fastball around. 2-2.
Yeah, with 2 strikes, everybody will back up into a more normal defensive position, but they still know, even a routine ground ball, you better get it over there quickly.
Dyson has worked it full 3-2. John Jay gets the day off today, so Gerard is in center and batting leadoff. Different look to things for Torey Lovullo this afternoon.
This is with a fastball low. Here's the D-backs lineup. It's brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Good start with Gerard Dyson reaching via the base on balls. Nick Ahmed making his way to the plate. He'll be at shortstop. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Christian Walker out in left field with David Peralta in right. John Ryan Murphy doing the catching. Jake Lamb once again at third base. Chris Owings playing second base today, and Zach Godley, the right-hander, on the mound.
Well, we see this look against left-hand starters a lot. Nick Ahmed batting second and Goldie third. Nick at 221 with 10 home runs. I don't see how much of a distraction Dyson can be at first base after the leadoff walk. Allen comes right in on Ahmed with a fastball. Nick singled in his only at bat last night after he replaced Ketel Marte at shortstop. And the news on Ketel, thank goodness, only a cramp. He's doing very well. Should be available off the bench today. They'd like to keep him off his feet if they can, but considering how bad that looked last night, the news was very encouraging. This was Ketel Marte in last night's game, leading off the seventh inning.
Yeah, ground ball to the left side, smelling infield hit, busting it down that line, and about a step before he got to the bag, reaches back to that right leg, stumbles as he crossed the bag, went down and stayed down for quite a while. Fortunately, only a cramp.
So that was very welcome news. All fastball so far to Nick Ahmed. Holland is very aggressive with his fastball. That's what the D-backs will be looking for. He's got good breaking stuff, good off-speed stuff, but they expect that fastball in, out, up, and down. Got the curveball. Nick two-strike approach. Gets a piece of it to stay alive. Ahmed comes in today with a 4-game hitting streak. As we start off July, June is now a distant memory. Hopefully July will be just as good.
Yeah, Derek Holland is not known to have a great pickoff move at first base, but he gets a couple guys every year. 30 over the course of his 10-year career. He had 2 so far this season.
Dyson has shown no signs of going over there. He's got a pretty modest lead at first. Belt holding him on the bag. Wasn't able to check, says Trip Gibson. The slider got him. 1 away.
Very close that time, but Trip Gibson looks like he's going to get that right arm in the air every time they appeal down there at first base today.
Here's Goldie.
Umpires have a flight to catch too.
They never have a home game after all. Goldie at 264 with 17 home runs. Dyson at first, 1 out.
Well, there's at least one umpire on this crew that is enjoying a 3-game homestand here. Ted Barrett, a resident of the Valley, so he gets to sleep in his own bed for a couple of nights.
That's got to be a welcome scenario for the umpires. Sliders low, and it's 1-0. Goldie has singled and walked in the series. He was 0 for 4 last night. D-backs getting their 3rd look at Derek Holland this year. He pitched well but lost April 9th at San Francisco. Just 2 runs, 2 hits in 6 innings. Had 8 strikeouts in that start. He just went 4 innings at AT&T Park June the 4th. Got a no decision there, but he's pitched pretty well against the D-backs this year.
Backdoor curveball in there for a strike, 1-1.
We see a lot of these exaggerated shifts, not only against the Diamondbacks, but for the Diamondbacks. And there's a reason. We talk about it all the time. You see Goldie's spray chart, when he hits the ball on the ground, this is the direction they generally go. Sandoval, Crawford, Panic, all in the busiest areas, and Brandon Belt taking care of the whole right side pretty much by himself.
Well, 2-1 count. No sign of Dyson getting started early. Dave McKay coaching down there. That's the thing about the leadoff walk, especially with a guy like Dyson. You really prevent that starting pitcher from settling into any kind of a rhythm or a tempo out there to begin the ball game.
Yeah, you got to pay a certain amount of attention to a potential base stealer over there at first. But you don't want to lose your focus on the guy at the plate, because he's the guy that can really hurt you.
Well, that changeup was off the strike zone, but Adrian Johnson said strike 2. Christian Walker, the cleanup man today, on deck. That strike zone for Adrian Johnson, a little wide so far. When you get the eye roll from Goldie, you know it was not a great call.
And if you get anything more than an eye roll, you know it was a horrible call.
Exactly. There goes Dyson. Pitches low, and Gerard is in there. Stolen base number 15. Mr. Zumbaya.
He wasn't going on first movement, but it almost amounted to that. He had such a good jump over there, read the delivery to home plate, took off like a shot for second base, and gets that left hand on the bag before Panic can apply the tag.
And now Goldie's up there with a full count, 3-2.
Look, and that stolen base changes what this pitch could potentially be. You got a base open now.
This is with a fastball in, and they'll work to Walker. E.D. Marshall Jewelers gives us a look at the Giants defense today.
Andrew McCutcheon out in right field. Gorkis Hernandez will be in center. Austin Slater in left field this afternoon. The infield will be Pablo Sandoval at third. Brandon Crawford at short. Joe Panic will be at second base with Brandon Belt at first. And Nick Hundley, there's a rumor he went to U of A. He'll be behind the plate for lefty Derek Holland.
Yeah, we're still trying to lock that down. Your staff is working on that. Christian Walker. First time we've seen him in the outfield. He's batting cleanup in left field today. 3 for 19 in 19 games so far. Just called up again from AAA Reno on Friday. It's a good spot to try this, or at least get this process, Bob, started with Christian Walker. It's a Sunday after a night game. You've got the left-hander out there. Get his bat in there, give him 4 or 5 at bats, and see what happens.
Absolutely. I mean, you call a guy up for a reason, and in Christian Walker's case, chances are it's going to be as the primary right-handed pinch hitter off the bench. But in order to be effective in that role, you've got to get him some somewhat consistent at bats.
And I think they want to get a look at him at this level defensively in the outfield as well, because everyone has come to the realization that he's not going to play first base for this organization for obvious reasons. But they like the bat. Mike Hayes and Jared Porter have said, along with the developmental people, look, if you can learn to play the outfield, we might have a spot here for you. So he's played a dozen games in left field at Reno. He's been a first baseman his whole career. And we'll see how it goes. I know Dave McKay was down there working with him this weekend.
And Dave McKay is the magic man. I was in Chicago when Dave McKay turned Alfonso Soriano from a brutal outfielder into a serviceable average outfielder.
1-1. Got that fastball in. Yeah, this was the other day. Dave McKay, the outfield guru.
And most of it is very simple stuff that, as he explains it, the light bulb goes on and you tell yourself, geez, why didn't I think of that? Why haven't I been doing it that way all along? It's all very simple, fundamental stuff. The lines that you take and the adjustments you make after you read the ball off the bat. But Dave has that ability to break it down, make it very simple so that everybody can understand it.
That was a good pitch by Holland. Adrian Johnson missed it. They've been getting Walker out so far in 2 pinch hit at bats in this series with fastballs up.
He has chased them. Peralta would be next, 2-2 on Walker.
And once again, the threat of stealing a base gets into Derek Holland's head out there. Gerard Dyson was edging off that bag at second like he wanted to run to third base, and with no defender close to the bag, Derek Holland just did what you're supposed to do. Step off and start over.
Another fastball. Fouled it straight back. Now Holland really having to work to start off the ball game already, well over 20 pitches. Long time to pitch from the stretch in the first. He's got Dyson at second, Goldie at first, till only one out. Runners on the move. That one is just foul. He got a curveball and couldn't quite keep it fair.
And with 2 strikes, he couldn't afford to take anything too close to that strike zone. Even though the runners had a great jump, probably would have stolen those 2 bases very easily. Christian Walker's got to take care of his business in that batter's box at the same time.
Well, we've seen nothing but fastball so far, and then on that one got that slow breaker. Runners hold. Walker. Fastball up again. Fouled straight back. It's a long at bat. If you had an intensity scale, Christian Walker would be right about at Brandon Drury level. He is one of those guys that is walking around thinking about hitting, focused all the time. Dyson making a lot of noise back there behind Holland. Trying to change up. He laid off and he's worked it full 3-2.
Well, talking about Christian Walker working on defense in the outfield, if he works as hard on his outfield defense as he does on his first base defense, he'll be just fine.
Yeah, good point.
Every time Christian Walker has been up here at the major league level, he's one of the first guys on the field every day taking grounders at first.
Full count, 3-2. Here it is. Runners hold. Fastball's in, just caught part of the strike zone. And Holland has his second strikeout.
Now we saw a very similar pitch earlier in the at bat, and Christian Walker tried to raise his hands and lean back, and maybe got a call from Adrian Johnson earlier in the count, but didn't get it this time. So they try to throw a little body language in there to influence the umpire that that pitch was way off the plate inside. It was very, very close.
Well, Torey Lovello said they expected Holland to get aggressive with that fastball, and that's what he's done so far. Peralta, 281, 15 home runs. There it is. They're looking for him to really come in with that fastball to some of their left-hand batters. You've got Dyson in there. You've got Peralta. You've got Lamb. And they're lefties. They're looking for those fastballs in. Holland trying to jam some of those guys. In again with a hard fastball. That's inside, but strike one, says Adrian Johnson.
It goes without saying command is important for every pitcher, but especially for Derek Holland. He's not overpowering his fastball 90, 91, 92, but if he's going to pitch inside, he has to make sure he gets it in there. Look out.
Boy, he got lucky that he threw it and missed that badly, because he essentially threw it right to Joe Panik and prevented it from getting into right center field. If that gets by Panik, Dyson probably scores.
A pretty good chance. The way the defense is aligned right now for David Peralta, that ball would roll out into the gap in right center.
Boy, Ted Barrett's just trying to stay out of the way.
What in the world? Somebody missed something. I mean, Derek Holland spun around expecting one of his middle infielders to be at the base.
Holland got really lucky there. 1-1. That's foul behind Dave McKay at first. Peralta's got 3 hits and a walk in this series. He doubled twice last night. Holland about to throw pitch number 30 in the first inning. He went to 3-2 on 3 of the first 4 he faced. Lays off a slider, and David's back even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. 30 pitches, 17 strikes for the Giants lefty. Murphy would be next. Peralta hits one way in the air. Deep right field. McCutchen at the wall. And that's where it ends. Scoreless after 1.
Last time the righty faced the Giants, it was back on June 4th, and he allowed a career-high 7 runs to the Giants. Well, since then, Godley has not looked back as he's gone and rattled off 4 straight wins. And when I had a chance to talk with Torrey about what's been the difference maker, he said it's the fact that Godley has simplified his delivery, exerting less energy as he falls off the mound and more towards home plate. But he said the biggest thing is the fact that the 28-year-old is today going after what could be his 10th win on the season. He said that is an incredible feat when you think about how Godley has really had to grind through some rugged outings, but through it all, he's kept that bulldog mentality.
Yeah, he really has, Kate. 9 wins, leads the D-backs, and he's only 1 behind John Lester, Aaron Nola, and Max Scherzer for the National League lead in victories. Nick Hundley, the Giants catcher, will lead off the second against Godley. First time in the series we've seen Nick. Who, by the way, we have been able to confirm he did go to U of A.
The one in Tucson?
No, the other one.
Oh.
Is there another one? That's one of our great running jokes for years now. Probably less great every time. Speaking of U of A, how about that? DeAndre Ayton threw out the first pitch today. Got his D-backs jersey on. And, you know, for a guy that had really never thrown a baseball, he did a pretty good job.
He did fine.
This was earlier today. The #1 pick in the draft, the newest Phoenix Sun. And here it is.
That's a real good downward plane on that pitch.
A strike to Archie Bradley. Look out. That one almost got Hundley in the head. Well, maybe it did.
Well, it was for sure ball 4. I don't think it clipped him right there, but that ball just got out of the hand. Ooh, man, that
back
was
shoulder
close.
maybe. Well, that's not what you want. Pablo Sandoval now.
They're saying it was just ball 4.
Second walk issued by Godley, the Panda, 262 and 6 homers. A pair of hits and RBIs in the series so far. Well, Godley starting to violently fall off the side of the mound again. Saw him do it a couple of times in the first inning. That one is in the left center field. A walk and a single open up the Giants' second.
Forks up, calling ASU alumni and current students. Show your school pride for ASU night here at Chase Field on Tuesday, August 21st. Get a custom D-backs ASU cap and a discounted baseline reserve ticket for just $25 with the special event ticket pack. Visit dbacks.com/ASU. We got to have equal time here.
Yeah, that's Brian Henry in action, our producer in the truck, making sure that everybody's accounted for here. Everyone, Wildcats and Sun Devils, 50-50. Here's Austin Slater, who had such a big night here Friday. Godley in trouble, 2 on, no outs. Slater had the big bat. 3 hits in the opener Friday night, including a pair of RBI doubles. He knocked in both Giant runs in their 2-1 win. This guy seems to have a nice sort of inside-out approach that really helped him go to right center field. Couple of RBI doubles down the right field line in that game Friday. Some big hits.
Now Slater on Friday and Buster Posey yesterday using that inside-out swing to really good effectiveness.
Punches it over there again, but foul, and it's 1-2. Slater up and down for the minors 4 times already this year. He's been back up for a week during this latest stint. He was hitting over .340 at AAA Sacramento when he was called up last week. There's the curveball, gets him to bite. Godley gets his 3rd strikeout.
That's the one that looks like it's going to be in the strike zone. Starts out somewhere mid-thigh and ends up in the dirt by the time Slater chases that one. Nice block by John Ryan Murphy.
Number 8 hitter Joe Panik. 250 and 4 home runs for Panik, who homered off Jimmy Sherfy in the 8th inning here last night. His first home run since April 3rd. Godley throwing that curveball and throwing it for strikes early in counts so far. That's going to help him down the road today. That one sails on him. And Hundley is in at 3rd. Sandoval at 2nd.
I believe that was that cutter again. He's really had trouble commanding that pitch so far in the early going today. That one off the mid of John Ryan Murphy all the way to the backstop. That'll be ruled a wild pitch. He missed his spot so badly. Now, sometimes you have to put a pitch away until later in the game. Work it in when you're ahead in the count and you can afford a mistake out of the strike zone. But so far, here comes another cutter. He just hasn't been able to command that with any consistency.
That's a base hit. Hundley will score. They'll stop Sandoval. RBI single for Panic, and the Giants take the early lead.
It sounded like that cutter got in on the hands of Joe Panic a little bit, but just strong enough to muscle it out there in front of David Peralta in right field for the first run of the game.
Here's the pitcher, Holland.
.27 at bats, 18 punch outs. He does have one sacrifice bunt this season.
It's been nearly his entire career as an American League pitcher, so there's not a lot of practice.
And it certainly looks like Holland is just trying to sacrifice the runner from first to second with 2 outs in the inning and roll around to the top of the order. Pablo Sandoval is not the kind of runner at third base that you usually play safety squeeze with.
Now, why would you say that?
Well, he's only getting about a 2-step lead off third base and not much of a secondary lead, so I don't think he has any intention of trying to score on any bunt.
Now, Ron Wotus wants to talk to Holland, so Wotus, the third base coach, runs all the way over to home plate almost to make sure that everybody understands each other. Those might be the ugliest shoes in creation on Holland. Fastball down low, and it's 1-2. I mean, look at these kicks. These things are orange.
Yes, they are.
The high top orange.
That's a good look for outdoorsmen. You know, how many deer hunters taking shots at you in the woods? You wear those shoes. And the gloves.
The gloves match, and the bat tape, everything. A lot of discussion that they're going to lessen the restrictions on footwear, MLB, so the shoe police will back off a little bit, and who knows what we'll see.
Oh, look out.
Yeah.
Sandals with cleats on the bottom.
Your nightmare. Well, Holland really had to work in the first, and now Godley laboring here in the second. The leadoff man Hernandez on deck. Misfired with a fastball, and now it's full 3-2 on the pitcher, who's essentially been trying to give himself up. Sandoval's at third, Panic at first. That stays fair. Murphy goes to second, and you better believe it, they roll the double play. You're not going to see that every day. John Ryan wasted no time. He jumped on that one and fired down to second to get Panic, and they turn 2. We stay scoreless. Swinging bunt. Murphy's on it. They get Panic at second, and Ahmed turns it. 1-0 Giants.
will lead it off. What a great defensive play to end that top half of the second. John Ryan Murphy, one step and a scoop, and he's ready to fire to second base. And then Nick Ahmed with that strong throwing arm completes the double play. Watch how quickly Murphy gets to this ball. One big step from out from behind home plate. Good throw to Nick Ahmed, and a rocket to first base.
Here's a StatCast look at it. 83-mile-an-hour throw on that fastball for Murphy. Ahmed turns it, and now Murphy leads off the second. The everyday routine 2-6-3 double play. We see those all the time. John Ryan singled in his start behind the plate last night. He was 1 for 4.
Boy, and another thing that really made that play was there was no hesitation whatsoever. With the runner at third base, a lot of catchers come out of the chute, they pick up the ball, they would check the runner at third, they wouldn't know whether to go to second or first. There was no hesitation whatsoever. Murphy knew if he got to that ball and didn't mishandle it, he had a chance to turn 2 up the middle.
Lays off a low slider in his head. 3-1. Jake Lamb on deck.
Hey fans, the D-backs home run this afternoon means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
Missed inside on 3-2. The third walk through the first 6 batters issued by Derek Holland. And a chance for Lamb. He walked Dyson to lead off the ball game. Now walks Murphy to start the second. Lamb hitting .238, 6 home runs. And again, trying to work these lefties in with fastballs. Jake last night 0 for 3. That snapped an 8-game hitting streak for him. In fact, Lamb's RBI sac fly against Andrew Suarez Friday night has been the D-backs' only RBI in this series. They lost Friday 2-1, lost last night 7-0. Fastball up and in is a strike, 2-1. Base hit for Lamb. Murphy will take the turn and head for third. Jake digging for second. He's got a hustle, and he's in there. Well, that kind of died out there in right field in front of Andrew McCutchen, and Lamb turned it into 2.
That's one of those times you're glad you didn't get it all. Little floating line drive over the head of Brandon Belt into shallow right field. McCutchen had to go a long way to get to it. I was a little fearful of Jake Lamb going first to second right there, right in the face of Andrew McCutchen. You see Murphy easily advances on to third, and Jake decides to press the issue right here. Ooh. Not the prettiest slide in the world, but the 6th double of the season for Jake Lamb.
Chance for CO in there at second base today. 195 and 3 home runs. Again, a pitch just off the plate is called a strike. That was a curveball, 0-1. Just the 8th start this year at second for Chris. Ketel Marte not in the lineup after he left last night's game with that cramp in his right hamstring. Nothing serious, fortunately. Breaking ball away, fastball in. He jumps ahead 0-2. This is hit pretty well. Deep right center field. Hernandez at the track. Here comes Murphy. Lamb tags up, and we're tied at 1.
Nice job there, down 2 strikes. Got a pitch up and out over the plate, hit it a long way out there to right center field to even this one up.
Now you've got the go-ahead run at third with 1 out. The pitcher Godley is the hitter. Zach has 3 hits and an RBI this year. First pitch slider. Giants infield comes in. Outfield really shallow. Not a breaking ball, and it's 0-2. Rockies have a lead again in LA. It's 2-1 at Dodger Stadium. Colorado leads it in the 3rd. Padres hosting the Pirates, 2-1 San Diego, 3rd inning at Petco Park. D-backs begin play today. 11 over 500, 3.5 ahead of the Dodgers and the Giants, who are tied for 2nd in the NL West. Rockies are 6 back. Oh, wow. That was strike 3. That was a strike earlier in the game. Ask Christian Walker.
Every day.
We'll take it. 2-2. Walker's one was even inside of that. And that's low, but a strike. 3rd strikeout for Holland. 2 down. Well, you don't want to leave that go-ahead run down there at 3rd if you can help it. It's up to Dyson now, who walked his first time up.
Partner, they had a wild one at Wrigley Field yesterday, the Cubs and the Twins, and they're at it again today. Cubs lead the Twins 10-5 in the 6th inning. Wind blowing straight out to left field at about 18 miles an hour at Wrigley today.
How's the heat? I know the heat in Philly was off the charts.
I think it was supposed to cool down. It says 93, which is a little cooler.
Yeah, the poor folks on the field in that game yesterday at Wrigley Field, they were just melting. That humidity.
And for the Twins, they've been in Chicago for like a week. They played the White Sox first. I believe they had an off day, and then the series with the Cubs. So they've been there in town for a long time, and that's a town that can take its toll, I've been told.
Yeah, well, you mean weather conditions, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, not other stuff. Going down to the Billy Goat Tavern, get some cheeseburgers. No Coke, Pepsi.
Chips.
No fries, chips. Oh, those are good, though. Punches it the other way, and it drops in for a base hit. Lamb is home, and it's 2-1 D-backs.
A couple of softly hit but very well placed base hits in this inning. Jake Lamb got jammed, hit a little floater out into right for a double, and now Gerard Dyson gets jammed, floats one out to left field to drive home the go-ahead run.
2 out hits. Dyson on base again just to drive Holland crazy. Here's Nick, who struck out his first time up.
That's a base hit. Dyson will stop at second. 3 hits and a walk in the inning against Derek Holland. Chance for Goldie now.
And breaking ball, Nick sitting all over it, stayed up over the inside part of the plate. A well struck ball this time into left field for a base hit for Nick Ahmed.
So Nick now with a 5-game hitting streak. Goldie walked his first time up today. Two on, 2 out, and 2 runs already in. First pitch fastball, swing and a miss. Goldie here on July 1st, coming off a tremendous month of June. Player of the month type stuff at 364. 23 RBIs in 27 games. Dyson at second. Ahmed at first. Bounced a changeup about halfway to the plate. 1-1. Fastball's low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Boy, Holland has had to work since the first batter of the ball game today. He might sleep in the stretch position tonight. Slider misses low, and it's 3-1 with Walker on deck. Christian had a really good at bat his first time up. Got under it just a little bit. Let the D-backs take the lead. Murphy walked, Lamb doubled. Owings got a run home on a sac fly. Then Dyson dunks one into left. It's 2-1 D-backs. They love it in Suns land.
the free app. Take Fox Sports Arizona and your D-backs with you wherever you go. Corquis Hernandez, leadoff man, leads off the third. He struck out to start the ball game. Zach Godley now holding a 2-1 lead. Zach so far has walked 2, struck out 3. And he's been spraying it around a little bit.
Well, he's been spraying his fastball around a little bit. He's thrown 12 curveballs in this game, 10 of them for strikes.
That's impressive for him. Wow.
However, the fastball, 17 of them, only 8 for strikes. The cutter, 6, only 2 for strikes.
Falling off the side of the mound on the cutter that time, and it's 1-2. Under the glove of Lamb, a curveball, and Hernandez pulled down the line, and he's aboard to start the third.
Boy, Jake Lamb has made some highlight reel plays defensively down there at third base in this series. That one just gets off the web of the glove and on into left field.
And put a base hit up on the board. Third hit for Hernandez in this series. Belt walked his first time up. D-backs have the shift on for the left-hand batter. This is driven deep to center field. Dyson under the home run porch has got it. 1 out. Andrew McCutchen. McCutchen had a big night last night. 3 hits, including this home run in the 4th off Shelby Miller. That was McCutchen's 9th of the year. One of those came off Zach Godley last month in San Francisco. D-backs have 3 defenders on the left side of the infield. Good curveball that time.
It's just hard for me to fathom how a guy can have better command of a spiked knuckle curveball than he does of any of his fastballs, but that's been the case so far today with Zach Godley. When he needs a strike, he goes to that curveball.
And then the cutter, which they continue to throw, just really hasn't been able to land or command it yet today. That one was way off, 2-1. Another curveball, another strike. Big swing and a miss that time. Crawford on deck. He struck out his first time up. Guess what? Another curveball. 4 strikeouts.
Our nationwide vision eye on the game. Misses with a fastball, throws the strike here with a curve, swinging strike, misses with another fastball, comes right back with another curveball, that one up in the zone, and then finishes him off with the best pitch of the sequence, 82-mile-an-hour hook right on that outside corner at the knees.
Now they'll slide the shift over to the right side of the infield for Crawford, who struck out to end the first. base hit.
It looked like a little bit of a two-seamer that started inside, tailed back to the corner. Crawford didn't get all of it, but muscles it out there in the shallow right center, putting Giants at first and second with 2 outs in the inning for Nick Hundley.
Hundley walked and scored the Giant run to lead off the second. Came home in a Joe Panik RBI single. First pitch curveball fouled away. Hundley's been good in these spots. He's hitting .345 this year with the runners in scoring position. 2 on and 2 out. Hernandez at second and Crawford at first.
Day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBACS50 at papajohns.com.
Hundley dunks it into center. Here comes Hernandez, and we're tied at 2.
Right off the end of the bat, more soft contact, this time into shallow center field. Good jump out there at second base by Gorkis Hernandez. He's going to score easily with 2 outs in the inning, and still have runners at first and second with 2 outs.
For Pablo Sandoval, who singled his first time up. And he plunks the Panda with a cutter. And Bobby continues having trouble commanding that cut fastball.
Yeah, really all of his fastballs, whether it's a 4-seamer, an attempt to 2-seam it, or cut the ball in on a lefty, just hasn't commanded any of those with any regularity today. That one catches Sandoval in the back of his throwing elbow.
Now keep in mind they're already without Evan Longoria, who suffered a broken left hand hit by a pitch June 14th in Miami. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. And so Sandoval has been holding down the fort at third. And while they're looking at the Panda, Mike Butcher's going to come out and pay a mound visit. Giants with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
Boy, getting hit by a pitch on your throwing elbow. Everybody's probably hit their crazy bone in their elbow at one point or another in their life. Imagine doing it at 90 miles an hour. Everything tingling. Kind of lose sensation in your fingers for a moment.
So 2 singles and a hit batter, all with 2 outs, have loaded the bases. And here comes Austin Slater.
And the Giants, we showed you this yesterday. They've been very good in this particular situation this season. As a team, they're hitting .323 with the bases loaded, best in the National League. They've also drawn 9 walks with the bases loaded this year.
Crawford is at third, Hundley at second, Sandoval at first.
Almost threw that curveball to the backstop.
I say it all the time. There's no such thing as a bad block, but this is a lucky one. Look where this pitch is. Over in the middle of the left-handed batter's box. John Ryan Murphy does everything he can just to try to get something in front of that ball. Manages to knock it down somehow and hold those runners at their bases. Nice job.
Went right back to the curve. Slater able to lay off. It's 2-0. A base hit into right field. Crawford scores. They stop Hundley at third. Peralta gets it in quickly. 3-2 San Francisco. 4 straight have reached, all with 2 outs against Godley.
And Slater once again with that inside out swing, driving a ball to the opposite field. This guy might be a candidate for a DJ LeMahieu reverse shift. You may recall last year the Diamondbacks stacked up all their outfielders in center and right field against Colorado Rocky second baseman DJ LeMahieu. You'd have to think about doing that to Slater too.
Joe Panic. On the ground to second. Owens has it. And they let the force on Slater. But the Giants retake the lead. They get 2. They have a 3-2 lead. The Arizona Lottery from home, along with all of us at the ballpark. Your chance to win half the pot and help kids in our community. Tickets purchase online during every D-backs home game on Fox Sports Arizona at dbacks.com/50/50 raffle. And the winning number is revealed on the postgame show. Alan Hansen has taken over at third base for Pablo Sandoval, who was hit by a pitch in the top half of this inning. Christian Walker leads off the bottom of the third against Derek Holland. Fastball in, 0-2 on Walker. We have seen some lack of command, I guess is the best way to put it, from both guys here today.
Yeah, there have been some big time misses of the strike zone so far for both starters.
A little sloppy. Sure enough, that's a fair ball. Hansen knocks it down. It rolls away in foul ground, and Walker's aboard. First one is always hit to the new guy.
The new guy always gets that first ball hit his direction. Alan Hansen tried to back up and play the big hop. He got a glove on it, but then just knocked it down into his own leg, rolled into foul territory. Christian Walker on with what will be called a base hit.
Here's David Peralta. Fourth hit for the Diamondbacks. Peralta flat out his first time. One and one. Just the third start this year in right field for David Peralta. He's better suited for left, but you've got a slumping John Jay sitting against the lefty Holland, so Peralta slides over to right. Christian Walker takes over in left. Dyson in center. Bouncing ball to second. Panic. Shovel pass to Crawford. And they can turn two.
Fans receive 15% off at the Chase Field Team Shop when you use the card by Gila River Casino. Sign up for the card today.
John Ryan Murphy walked and scored to start the second. Good hustle by David to get up the line and beat out that double play ball.
The Giants don't shift as much as a lot of the teams the Diamondbacks have played against this year, especially in the outfield. Those guys play pretty much straight up for just about everybody. The center fielder Gorky Hernandez may go a step or two on one side or the other depending on righty or lefty, but we haven't seen the exaggerated shifts where the left fielder's way off the third base line or the right fielder's way off the right field line. Bruce Bochy just trusting in the athletic ability of his outfielders to run anything down that happens to find a gap.
Crawford at shortstop, and Panic turns the double play. We're through three. D-backs trail at 3-2.
Welcome back. I'm Kate Longworth. Diamondbacks trail as we head to the 4th inning, 3-2 to the Giants. And as we turn the calendar to July, we're in the dog days of summer. And well, we have some dog news from the Diamondbacks. Archie Bradley tweeting this out yesterday that he was missing in the Kierland area. His dog Crash. He shows the picture. He sent it out to the Twitterverse world. And as we all know, Archie, he's a fan favorite. He has fans all over the valley and throughout the nation. They all were jumping aboard trying to help him find his dog. And great news today, guys. Archie tweeted out, Crash is back home, safe and sound. And Archie and the Diamondbacks organization really thanking the fans out there nationwide that really all came together to help Archie with this feel-good story.
Yeah, it was great to see everybody chip in on Twitter. You saw that after the game last night. Just heartbreaking. You got the dog you've had for so long, you don't know where he is, you can't find him. We all maybe have been through that from time to time, and everybody chipped in. Crash apparently has learned to open doors, I'm told.
Oh.
He's a big lab and he jumps up and he's figured it out, and he got loose last night.
So he's way ahead of Archie.
He might be. Allen punches that fair down the right field line. And he's got a double. First career double for Derek Holland.
Center field, Gorky Hernandez.
88-mile-an-hour heater on the inside corner. A little topspin grounder right over the bag down into that right field corner. Derek Holland looked like he was the most surprised guy in the ballpark.
I bet he was. Gorky Hernandez singled and scored his last time up, 1 for 2. Right field, Peralta. Allen will tag and head for third.
Well, that's another reason why Bruce Bochy likes Gorky Hernandez. Has said he's probably our MVP so far this season. Do the right thing. Move that ball to the right side. Try to get Holland to third base with 1 out in the inning. He's frustrated. He hit the ball well, hit it a long way, but I'm sure his teammates and coaching staff appreciate that effort to hit the ball the opposite field, move that runner to third base.
Brandon Belt has walked and flied out. This is with a curveball inside, 1-0.
Oh, that curveball right in the middle of the strike zone.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Got away with it. Another curveball fouled off, and it's 1-2. Belted into right. Holland is home, 4-2. Belt is at second with an RBI double.
Well, we mentioned that Zach got away with a curveball on the second pitch of that sequence. Did not get away with it on the fourth pitch. That one misses inside. All curveballs in this at bat. A couple of them right in the middle of the strike zone, including the one that Belt bangs down into that right field corner for an RBI double. Our nationwide vision, eye on the game.
Four runs, 8 hits for the Giants. Here's McCutchen, who's 0 for 2. Curveball fouled away, 1-1. McCutchen only about a 200 hitter this year with runners in scoring position. So far today, he's flat out struck out.
Well, second time through the order for Zach Godley against the Giants. Faced 9 hitters, gave up 5 hits and hit a batter.
Ouch.
Another curveball up in the strike zone. He's been getting a steady diet of curveballs from Zach Godley today. McCutchen's first at bat, he saw 2 pitches, both curveballs. Second at bat, he saw 5 pitches, 3 of those were curveballs, and so far in this at bat, all 3 breaking pitches.
1-2.
And another one just off the plate away.
Crawford on deck. He singled and scored his last time up.
Big out to get right here. At least it would give you the option of walking Brandon Crawford and going after the right-handed hitting Nick Hundley behind him with 2 outs in the inning, if you can get McCutchen right here.
Just foul. That one went right through the dark night. Tom Harvey down there and left. Our Golden Glover. Sam No Neck Noriega working right field here today. Two and two. Got him to chase a curveball. 2 outs in the 4th.
I guess you just keep throwing it until Andrew McCutchen proves he can hit it. Lots of breaking pitches to the Giants right fielder today.
Here's Crawford, who has struck out in single. He's already scored 4 runs in the series. He homered and walked twice last night. He's got Belt at second and 2 outs.
And we've seen Zach use that changeup a little more often recently against left-handed hitters. Obviously an off-speed pitch that moves a little bit away from a left-handed hitter.
Curveball away, and it's 2-0.
Now they're going to go ahead and send Brandon Crawford on down to first base and take their chances with the catcher Nick Hundley.
3rd walk issued by Godley. He's also hit a batter. Hundley is walked. He's got an RBI single. 2 on and 2 out. Nick Hundley, his 2nd season with the Giants, re-signed with San Francisco just before Christmas, got a 1-year deal. It was a pretty good fit for him in San Francisco last year, so he decided to stick around. That's been a strike for much of the afternoon. 1-1.
Yeah, Nick Hundley's carved out a pretty nice career for himself as a backup catcher, and does what you'd like your backup catcher to do. He calls a good game. He throws well. He'll lean into one every now and then. He's had double digits in home runs, I think, 3 different years in his career.
Shallow left. Walker coming in, and he's got it in front of Nick Ahmed. But the Giants add a run. They lead it 4-2.
A dream matchup unfolds and superstars collide when Neymar and Brazil face off with Chicharito and El Tri. Then Belgium takes on Japan. It all starts tomorrow at 6 in the morning on Fox, or you can stream it live on the Fox Sports app. Big upset today. Russia over Spain.
That was a big one.
Yeah, it was.
And Denmark was in penalty kicks last I looked.
See my bracket. It's getting a little messy, but once again, I'm right on the money.
Look at all the what is it? You got Russia's circle. Now you got arrows on there.
Well, you know, you make adjustments as necessary.
Apparently they're also highly necessary.
I make my picks retroactively. Can't lose.
Yeah,
can't lose.
Genius stuff. Here's Jake Lamb, doubled and scored in the second. And that one is into right center. Lamb 2 for 2.
Boy, waited on that breaking ball nicely that time. Holland just tries to roll it up there and steal a strike, and Jake is all over it. Bangs it out toward the gap in right center once again. Looked like he had thoughts about going for 2 right there. Once again, he was very aggressive back in that second inning after doubling down into the right field corner.
Well, now he's got 6 hits, 6 walks against lefties this year. Chris Owings, the second baseman today. Marte has the day off after the cramp last night. CO knocked in a run in the second.
You keep knocking on the door often enough, eventually somebody's going to answer. 4 innings in this ball game for the Diamondbacks offense. They've had the leadoff hitter on every inning. Only pushed across one of them.
That was Murphy in the second who walked to lead off that inning. Came home on the Owings sac fly. Dyson followed with an RBI single in that inning. D-backs had a 2-1 lead after 2, but they trailed at 4-2. Rockies have a 4-2 lead at Dodger Stadium in LA. They're in the 5th. Padres at home trail the Pirates 6-3, 5th inning at Petco Park. Dodgers and Giants tied for 2nd behind the D-backs, 3.5 games back. Got that slider in there. Godley on deck, 2-2 on CO.
Anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
That one almost hit the governor.
Yeah. Usually he's surrounded by a security detail to make sure he doesn't get hit.
A couple of guys ready to dive in front. Oof. Got that fastball in. Ninth pitch coming up for Owings. The pitcher Godley on deck.
Good battle. The more pitches you see, I've always felt it works in the hitter's advantage. The more often you can see that release point, pick up the spin on the ball, foul him off until he makes a mistake.
Changeup misses badly, and Owings has worked at full 3-2. Holland so far has walked 3, struck out 3. D-backs 2 runs on 5 hits. Base hit. Good at bat by Chris Owings.
Good grinding at bat by CO. Finally gets a pitch in the heart of the strike zone and bangs it into center field for a base hit. He had to work hard for that when he earned it.
We got a mound visit now. The entire Giants infield is out there. No Kurt Young, though, the pitching coach.
What would appear to be an obvious sacrifice bunt situation with Zach Godley at the plate, nobody out in the inning, and 2 runners on. Diamondbacks trailing by 2. Giants just wanted to make sure everybody knew what defensive play is going to be on here.
Tony Perez Chica huddling up with Godley, the third base coach. D-backs down 4-2. Belt is in on the grass at first. Hansen feet on the grass at third. Here comes Belt. Godley squares, bunts at third base side. Beautiful.
Nice job by Zach Godley, number 4 on the season. Put that ball right down the third baseline, which is exactly what you want to do. Force the third baseman to come in and make the play. Both runners able to advance. Nicely done.
Here's Gerard Dyson, who has walked. He's got an RBI single so far against Holland. A leadoff batter today. Lamb at third, Owings at second. Single here can tie the ball game. Still trying to crowd those lefties in with fastballs.
Now, there's no need for Gerard Dyson to alert anybody to the fact that he might bunt for a base hit at any time. But we had some fun with Gonzo on the last road trip because a couple times a year Luis Gonzalez from the on deck circle and a runner at third base would come back and tell me, hey, let him know I might bunt for a base hit. After I stopped laughing, I would always let Chris Spire, the third base coach, know. And once he stopped laughing, Gonzo would get up there and get a base hit.
Dyson knocks it into left. Lamb is home, and it's 4-3. Second RBI single the other way for Dyson today. He's been aboard all 3 times he's been up.
Always looks so easy for a left-handed hitter to let that ball get deep in the zone and just slap it the other way. That was a 92-mile-an-hour fastball in the inner third of the plate and lines it into left field. Jake Lamb wanted to make sure it got down, and he'll score easily.
Here comes Kurt Young, the pitching coach. Notice, Bob, that you picked up on this too, that Holland has made a change recently, and just basically from where he pitches the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that rubber's about 2 feet wide, so moving from one side to the other, you can see on June 4th he was pitching from the far third base side of that rubber. That was against the Diamondbacks at AT&T, and you can see more recently June 26th against the Rockies pitching from the first base side, and that'll change the angle. It'll change the shape of breaking pitches, and just like hitters, pitchers are constantly making adjustments out there on the mound, and Derek Holland moving back and forth from one side of the rubber to the other.
It's been working pretty well for him. His last outing was Tuesday against the Rockies. He had 8 strikeouts in 6 2/3, kept Colorado to just 1 run. But the D-backs putting up a fight here. Here's Ahmed, who has struck out in single. Runners in the corners, 1 out. Giants bullpen starts to get busy. Corey Guerin, he threw 16 pitches and working the 9th inning last night.
That's a nice swing right there. Got a fastball up on the inner third of the plate. Took a good rip at it that time. For me, that's the biggest difference between Nick Ahmed this year and Nick Ahmed in the past. When he gets pitches that should be hit hard, he's taking a very aggressive uppercut swing at it.
Yeah, kind of backleg that one. Dyson takes off, swing and a miss. And he's got a stolen base, his 2nd today, and his 16th on the year.
Hundley's trying to argue with Adrian Johnson behind the plate that Nick Ahmed interfered with his throw to second base. There's a couple things that have to happen. Number 1, you have to throw the ball, which Hundley did. And number 2, you have to make contact with that batter. If you don't make contact, there can be no interference called on the hitter. Benito Santiago used to come out of the chute on plays just like that, throw the ball and jump on the hitter's back.
Pitch number 90 from Derek Holland on the way. Got him with a fastball up and in.
Yeah, here it is once again at home plate. Big swing by Nick. Starts to fall out over the plate right there. All Hundley's got to do is come forward another 6 inches or a foot, make contact with that hitter, and you get the interference call. You saw him reach out after he had made the throw, and Adrian Johnson wasn't buying that.
Well, Goldie's the hitter, first base open. They are doing something.
I think they want to walk.
Yeah, Adrian Johnson keeps looking into the dugout. You walking or not? Okay, they finally have the word, and they'll give Goldie the free pass and work to Walker. Christian struck out after a pretty good at bat his first time up, singled his second time, and here comes Bruce Bochy. He's got Guerin ready, the right-hander, and he's going to go get his lefty Holland after 90 pitches. We'll take a break from Chase Field. D-backs threatening, trailing by 1.
Sports Arizona and Sanderson Ford Kidcaster auditions from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Sandlot during the D-backs Padres game.
Corey Guerin, the new Giants pitcher, worked the 9th inning last night. 16 pitches, his 33rd appearance of the year. Christian Walker is the hitter. Bases full, 2 down. He has struck out and singled. There's a good slider from Guerin, who's never in any hurry to deliver the baseball. Long sets, takes his time out there.
Diamondbacks still looking for their first grand slam of the season. He said hopefully.
In 3, 2, and 1. Christian 44 games at AAA Reno this year, 267 with 10 homers. Owings is at third, Dyson at second, and Goldie at first.
Diamondbacks do lead the major leagues in bases loaded walks. However, they've drawn 10 of them.
That one is fair. Belt gets there, and somehow Guerin gets up to get it and finds the bag with his foot. This is a tremendous play, both by Belt to get to it, and then Guerin, watch him get the foot down. 4-3 after 4. Our exclusive Ice Dragon bobblehead for $50. The VIP pack $65. Limited quantity still available. Visit dbacks.com/GOT. Game of Thrones. Alan Hansen, the third baseman, leads off the fifth. Careful with that thing. That's an exclusive item.
That's a nice one.
That is our Ice Dragon bobblehead. It is bobbling away over there. And you can only get that here at the ballpark coming up Saturday. So send a Raven, get your tickets. Got some letters. We asked fans to write our letters. Got a whole bunch of letters after the last road trip, and some fans have commented they really like your Game of Thrones references.
Well, good.
Yeah, so your total ignorance of the show is paying off. But we want to thank everybody that's written us some letters. You can send us a line here. Chase Field, Steve and Bob, 401 East Jefferson Street in Phoenix, 85004. And we got a whole bunch to read that we'll get to at some point on this homestand. Hansen came in at third after Sandoval was hit by a pitch.
Got some history lesson today too. I didn't know that the Phoenix Senators played here in 1949.
Oh, well, you got to see if one of your staff can get that envelope over there. There's a big envelope amongst your materials over there. The manila one. We got a great system going here. Curveball in the dirt. Yeah, we got this terrific letter. This one, did it hit him? No, it didn't. This was sent to us by Dick Caley. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Dick. C-A-L-E-Y, who's been a season ticket holder since day one. And he sent us a letter while we were gone on the last road trip with a picture and some history. We got to have Todd Walsh look into this. Some great Valley baseball history. As Hansen works a walk, he says the Phoenix Senators were part of the Arizona-Texas League. They were a farm system for one of the New York clubs, either the Giants or the Yankees, and Billy Martin actually played and managed, and that's a picture of the 49 Phoenix Senators. So thank you very much to Dick Caley for sending that in. That's terrific.
Yeah, the little young man there in the front is the team mascot, Jimmy Trower. This was at old Phoenix Muni Stadium at Central Avenue in Mojave.
He enjoys, Dick also says he enjoys the Rocky Bridges stories that you have.
Yeah.
Here's Austin Slater. He said the Phoenix Senators were part of that Arizona-Texas League, and they also had a team from Juarez, Mexico in that league, and they would take the field whistling and chirping and making bird calls as part of their signals. So that's a terrific letter from Dick Cayley. Thanks very much. I love that stuff. The old black and white pictures of old minor league teams and stuff.
It would be interesting to see what Rocky Bridges feels about the new analytics in the game of baseball, the spin rate and the launch angle and exit velocity.
I'm sure he'd be all over it.
We didn't even have signs. Hey, bunt.
Well, you can't misread that, right?
You steal.
Zach diving off the side of the mound there. Curveball missed, 2-1. Yeah, we're old school up here. You know, we don't do the tweets or the emails. If you want to drop us a line, you got a question, a comment, send us a letter with a stamp and an envelope, the whole thing, and we'll make sure we try and get to it on the air. Boy, Zach really falling off the side of the mound that time. That was a full-blown stumble. And the bullpen is going to start to stir down there. The phone rings in the D-back bullpen. Watch the landing here. It's amazing. He doesn't hurt himself sometimes.
Well, and you just knock on wood, he doesn't get a hard hit comebacker right at him out there on the mound, because obviously he's not in any kind of fielding position with his back to home plate.
Does it again there on a cutter. That's really becoming dramatic. 85 pitches now for Godley. Make it 86. And Silvino Bracho just called up today. Got here this morning. Let's start to loosen up. Here comes Mike Butcher. Well, we have a moment. Let's get back into the mailbag here, Bob. But we got a letter. Now, I feel bad about this because Arlene, who was a tremendous fan from Gold Canyon, she wrote us a letter, and we couldn't answer it because we were gone on that long road trip. But she said, my name is Arlene, and I live in Gold Canyon, Arizona. Her sister's name is Jeanette Brito, like Socrates, no relation, and she lives in Albuquerque. But Jeanette is a huge Diamondbacks fan, watches every game, and June 25th was her birthday, and we were gone on the road, so we couldn't do it then. So I hope you'll accept this belated birthday wishes to Jeanette Brito in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Big D-backs fan, so happy birthday, Jeanette.
Absolutely. Just look at it like your birthday has lasted over a week.
Yeah. Because we were gone.
Yeah.
So the mail piles up when we're on the, you know, your staff has got to stay on top of this. You got letters piling up. I know they have a lot to do, but anyway, thank you for the letter, Arlene. And thanks for watching the D-backs. Joe Panic, 2 on, nobody out. Change-ups in there. Pitcher spot is up next, and Hunter Pence is in the on-deck circle for the Giants. Haven't seen him in this series yet. That's going to get down in center. Here comes Hansen. He will score, and it's 5-3 Giants.
Heard me talk a lot lately about non-competitive pitches, and unfortunately Zach Godley has fallen victim to that today too. He misses the zone by a mile, and then when he does come in the zone, the Giants are ready to let it go.
Well, Panic's second RBI single today will be it for Godley, who leaves here with no outs in the 5th inning. And Silvino Bracho on his way in. Back after this.
Take a look at this day in baseball history, brought to you by Geico. As a matter of fact, every July 1st, because the Mets bought out Bobby Bonilla for $5.9 million. Instead of cash, they agreed to pay him between 2011 and 2035, $1.2 million every year on the 1st of July, totaling the $29 million. And he hasn't played since 2001. Now, Bobby Bonilla, we shouldn't single him out because he's not the only guy that is getting big checks years after they retire.
Who else? Am I on the list?
Bruce Sutter? Unfortunately, no.
Sadly,
I think you're free to negotiate with any team you like.
Here's Bracho.
No, but there's a number of players. The Diamondbacks had Bernard Gilkey that was getting paid for a long time after he was long gone. But I'm told by members of the radio staff that in the Mets case, it was all tied in with Bernie Madoff, and they thought the money was going to go on forever, so they agreed to defer those payments to Bobby Bonilla. And how did that work out?
Not so much. Make you move. Hunter Pence facing Bracho. Fastball misses. Pence almost exclusively off the bench these days. Only 20 hits all year, and just 3 of those for extra bases. He has really struggled now at the age of 35, hitting .204 on the year without a home run.
I'll tell you who's big on those deferred payments is the Washington Nationals. I think there's some tax laws or something that they can kind of get away with things that other teams can't. I mean, Matt Wieters, Daniel Murphy, Steven Strasburg, Max Scherzer, all getting deferred money in Scherzer's case till 2028.
Well, Scherzer got a $210 million deal. $50 million was a signing bonus, and $105 million, or half the contract, was deferred. So Scherzer gets 7 different installments of $15 million each every year on July 1st, starting in 2022 through 2028. So that nice $15 million check comes in July 1 every year. Check the mail, honey. We're going shopping.
Yeah, the Brewers have money deferred to Ryan Braun through 2031. Jim Edmonds is still getting paid by the Cardinals.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it goes on and on. There's a lot of guys who deferred money and are still cashing checks.
Two and two on Pence.
You know, partner, you look back to that 4th inning when Derek Holland led off with the double. After that, Zach Godley threw 16 pitches in that inning. 13 of them were curveballs. The following inning, he threw 14 pitches, 8 of them curveballs. I mean, it was really the only thing he could command close to the zone today.
Yeah, the fastball and the cutter just weren't there for him. Changeup misses up and in. Tough day for Zach. Still responsible for 2 base runners here. He did not record an out in the 5th. So here's Bracho, recalled from Reno today. Jimmy Sherfy was optioned back to AAA. Jimmy pitched 37 pitches, threw 37 pitches last night. Down the line and fair. It's in the corner. Slater is home. Panic being waved home. Hunter Pence has a 2-run double. 7-3 Giants.
Fastball up and in. That's about the only pitch Hunter Pence can handle with any authority right now, with that very unusual, awkward swing that he takes up there at the plate. But he can still crush pitches on the middle of the plate in and rip that one down into the left field corner to drive home too.
Well, the D-backs have not recorded an out yet in the 5th inning. Giants have already scored 3. Now 7 runs on 10 hits. Here's Hernandez.
Career double number 300 for Hunter Pence, number 4 on the season.
Just his 4th extra base hit all year. Godley responsible for both those runs. So he gives up 7 and 4. And a slider misses. Hernandez singled and scored in the 3rd. He's 1 for 3. I think the Mets, according to some sources, are still paying Brett Saberhagen through 2029. He gets like a nice check every year. So it's a good reason to check the mailbox. You may have some money coming in that you don't know about.
Or if you're friends with Bobby Bonilla or the Bonilla family, try to find a way to visit them on July 2nd every year.
Make you move. Yeah, it didn't quite work out the way they envisioned. Steve Phillips was the GM then. He was good-natured about it on the radio today, kind of joking around. This is sort of his anniversary as well. Brandon Belt on deck.
Well, it's a final at Wrigley. The Cubs hung on to beat the Twins 11-10 today.
What a series. What a weekend.
In that 3-game series between the Twins and the Cubbies, 60 total runs were scored, 83 hits, including 26 extra base hits. Whew. If offense is what you like, you got your money's worth at Wrigley this weekend.
These are some tired bullpens right now. Bracho really missed with that changeup, kind of yanked it. Now it's full 3-2. Belt on deck. Rockies and Dodgers now tied 4-4. They're in the 7th in LA. Dodgers Giants tied for 2nd in the NL West, 3.5 games behind the D-backs. Fastball up and in. Murphy hangs on. Bracho gets the strikeout.
Goes up the ladder with that heater that time. Gorky Hernandez, a pretty good high fastball hitter, but Bracho able to get it by him for strike 3.
Brandon Belt has walked. He's got an RBI double, 1 for 2. Penn still at second. 1 out. Shift is on against Belt. Good fastball at the knees, 0-1. Padres trail the Pirates 7-4, 6th inning at Petco Park. San Diego's in here for 4 games starting on Thursday. Cardinals in tomorrow for the first of 3. Just out of reach of Owings. The shift was on. Here comes Pence. Make it 8-3 Giants. Another RBI for Belt.
Well, apparently the game plan against the Giants today is don't throw many fastballs. He jumps ahead with a 94-mile-an-hour heater at the knees and then 3 straight changeups. The last one ripped into right field by Brandon Belt for an RBI base hit. Our nationwide vision eye on the game.
Well, the first 4 Giant hitters in this inning all reached safely. They've now all scored. San Francisco 1 in the second, 2 in the third, 1 in the fourth, and now 4 runs in the fifth. There's McCutchen 0 for 3. Well, you had that stat yesterday about all the 1- and 2-run games the Giants have been playing lately. Last night they won it 7-0. Now they lead this one 8-3. The offense has found its true north right now for Bruce Bochy.
We documented before his last at bat back in the 4th inning that Andrew McCutchen had seen a steady diet of breaking balls from Zach Godley in the game today. Silvino Bracho comes in and pumps 2 fastballs by him to jump ahead 0-2.
And McCutchen right now is striking out at a career high rate. He's punched out in his last 2 at bats. That one almost hit Moscam.
Can't let that happen.
Nope.
Have to pull the governor's security detail and send him down to Moscam to protect that.
There it is. Gives you that field level look. That was invented by Brian Moss, our director, who's of course not here today. Eric Faulkner manning the Millennium Faulkner. But that's our look from Moscam. Swing and a miss. Good changeup from Bracho. And McCutchen strikes out for the third time today.
Four straight fastballs. McCutchen looked like he was starting to catch up to that speed, so Silvino Bracho and John Ryan Murphy decided to pull the string, throw him a changeup in the dirt to get the swinging strike three.
Crawford singled and scored in the third. He was intentionally walked his last time up. 2 outs, belted first, 4 runs in for the Giants. Giants had a 4-run third last night. Today, 4-run fifth. Sky to left center. Dyson drifting over there. Calls off Walker. Bottom 5 coming up. D-backs down 8-3.
Last night in Tacoma as a couple of Diamondbacks were rehabbing with the Reno Aces. A.J. Pollock, what a night. 3 for 3, 3 RBI, 3 run, just a triple short of the cycle. Meanwhile, Steven Souza Jr., he was 2 for 3, 2 triples, a couple of walks, 2 RBI, and 2 runs scored as well. Both of them coming along just fine. Torrey said AJ especially has really amped up his rehab process. They hope to see him maybe before the All-Star break. Meanwhile, Souza getting that start at DH, so in the next couple days they'll try and work him into the outfield. He's been on a very aggressive throwing program. So guys, as the Diamondbacks try to spark their offense right now, we know reinforcements are hopefully just around the corner.
Yeah, Kate, AJ and Steven really ramping up their timelines. Here's the right-hander Pierce Johnson, who starts the bottom of the 5th. David Peralta leads it off. Here's Johnson, up and down from AAA Sacramento 3 times this year. Just called up on Tuesday. Out there now with an 8-3 lead. You know, AJ has really been busting it, trying to get back from that fractured thumb. So he'd like to be back as soon as possible.
Well, he's doing the right things if he wants to get back quickly.
Sure is, huh?
Bang that ball around the ballpark and show that you're healthy and ready to go.
Popped up third base side for Hansen. We always talk about the Coast League. You saw that ballpark, Shaney Stadium in Tacoma, with it looked like 424, 425 out to center. Big gaps and alleys, massive outfields. That's why I always talk about the ballparks in that league, right?
Yeah, and the Pacific Coast League back in the day when I played in the Coast League, it was really 2 different leagues. They had a northern division, Tacoma and Spokane and Portland and Vancouver, big ballparks, cold, wet weather, ball didn't carry well. And then the southern division, you had Albuquerque and Tucson, Phoenix. It was a launching pad.
A little different. Here's Murphy. He's walked and hit into a double play. So you were in the good division, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Hawaii was in the Coast League back then. That was always an interesting road trip.
Guys wanted to get sent down.
You better win the first game of the series because you're probably not going to win any of the rest of them.
Oh, why not?
Sunburn. Oh, man.
Too many luau's. Johnson gets his first strikeout, 2 down.
That's been kryptonite for John Ryan Murphy and a lot of right-handed hitters. That hard slider down low and away with a lot of downward movement.
Good day for Jake Lamb. Couple of hits against the lefty Holland. He has doubled, singled, and scored twice. It's funny, Pierce Johnson has been up and down from AAA 3 times this year, but he's actually only pitched 3 games at Sacramento, which is kind of hard to figure.
Yeah, you think about it, you get a relief pitcher at the major league level to a point where you feel like, well, we're not going to use him for 3 days. We've got to shut him down because of the amount of work he's had. So you send him back to AAA and you don't want him to pitch for a couple of days. Then you have a need once again at the major league level, either an injury to a pitcher, and you call him right back up and he's right back in the hopper again.
I've seen that with Jimmy Sherfy and Silvino Bracho for the D-backs. They've been up and down all year long. Jake Barrett a few times. Jake can't check his swing. Strikes out. Johnson comes in, a shutdown 5th inning. It's 8-3 San Francisco. App, you can customize your experience to catch every moment this year. Get D-backs home screen icons, features like the MLB.TV game of the day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcast, stats, news, the whole thing. Download MLB at bat today. Nick Hundley will lead off the Giants 6th against Silvino Bracho. Everybody having a good time. Well, most folks on a Sunday at the ballpark. That's a regular Kevin Bacon right there. Footloose, the whole thing.
Who's really having a good time is the bottom of the Giants batting order today. Their 7, 8, and 9 hitters are a combined 5 for 8 with 2 doubles and 5 driven in.
Peralta near the line. Does he have enough room? Wow, nice catch. Not by David, but by that gentleman right there. Yeah, so Hundley batting fifth has walked, got an RBI single. Sandoval singled, Hansen walked and scored. Slater's got an RBI single, walked and scored. Panic 2 RBI singles. Holland had a double, the pitcher. Pence a 2-run double. 5 through 9. Hundley has a base hit. Now I have a question. I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
The first was, did you see the way the bottom of the 5th ended?
Yeah, Jake Lamb swung at a pitch that hit him.
Well, my second question is actually not from me. Now watch this. This is a swing and a miss. We got a letter from Tom and Patty Gleason. They live in Chandler. Tom and Patty, big D-backs fans. And they had a question for you about that play. Why can a batter, after striking out and the catcher drops the ball, try to make it to first base safely? Since we're looking to speed up the game, an out should be an out. He struck out. He's done. What's the point? That's what he says. What's the point of that? So he would. I think he's in line with you, trying to speed up the game and stuff. So why is that?
That's a really good question that I don't have an answer for. That's just been part of the rules of the game of baseball forever. A drop third strike. If first base is unoccupied, the batter / runner has an opportunity to get to first base even after striking out.
Hansen shoots that one away from the shift. Lamb starts it and they turn the double play. Little 5-6-3 DP there. I think what Tom and Patty Gleason from Chandler are going for is it's sort of along the lines of the intentional walk, where you just say, okay, just go ahead.
Well, it would do away with some wild pitch pass balls, you know, on that strike 3.
Make the catchers look better.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
They would also like to know, why is there so much spitting?
I don't have an answer for that one either.
You've stumped the band. Here's Austin Slater. But anyway, I thought since we just saw that play, it was kind of interesting that we just had a letter on that very subject. So thank you, Tom and Patty Gleason. By the way, they say burgers and dogs are on the grill. Stop by any time.
There you go.
So let's go down to Chandler and maybe 4th of July. Thanks for your letter, guys, and your questions.
I think rather than eliminate spitting in baseball, they should encourage it in other professions.
Yes, it's the other sports that are lagging behind.
Well, not only sports, but, you know, sitting around a boardroom and CEO banging on the table and let it fly. Get your point across.
Not very sanitary. 1-1. Yeah, you can't spit on the basketball court. There's DeAndre Ayton, the Suns' first-round pick. Now, if he spits, then you got guys slipping on the court. That's no good. DeAndre threw out the first pitch today. Did a great job. 1-2 on Slater. Oh man, it's just been one of those days. I don't think this guy can do anything but hit the ball to right field. Even a little punch and Judy single like that.
We talked about him trying to inside out balls to right field, but this is to an extreme. That ball was right in on his hands and just muscles it out there into shallow right field. For his second base hit of the game, he's reached base 3 times.
Here's Panic, who has a pair of RBI singles today, 2 for 3.
I'll tell you, Joe Panic is listed in the Giants media guide at 6'1", 199. But when you're down there at field level standing next to him, he's a big dude. He looks a lot bigger than 6'1", 199.
The pride of Yonkers, New York. Slater takes off. Stealing second in an 8-3 ball game.
You could clearly see John Ryan Murphy's throw tailing back to the second base side of the bag, but Nick Ahmed still tried to make the catch and apply the tag to Slater's foot as he went sliding by. Just wasn't able to come up with it cleanly that time.
0-2 on Panic.
How about this on Joe Panic? You know where he went to high school? John Jay High School.
The Federalist. Is that in Yonkers?
Diamondbacks right fielder.
Is that in Yonkers?
Now, actually, his hometown was Hopewell Junction. He was telling me this the other day. The whole town is 2.8 square miles, fewer than 3,000 people. It's in the Hudson Valley, about an hour north of New York City.
All right. I know he played his college ball at St. John's.
That's when I was down there talking to Derek Holland yesterday, and we were comparing notes about the size of our hometowns, and Joe Panic says, I think I got you both beat.
Well, that sounds like Todd Walsh country out there, maybe. Upstate New York. That's a beautiful part of the country. You love it up there, all that fishing.
Oh, yeah. I've been to Cooperstown a few times. Other than the drive from whichever airport you happen to fly into to get to Cooperstown, once you get there, it's glorious.
It's a pretty drive, but it's a schlep.
Yeah.
2-2. Fastball misses in. Johnson, the pitcher, is on deck. He would hit for himself if Panic can reach here. Full count, 3-2. Tap to second for CO. We're at Chase Field. D-backs trail the Giants 8-3. Here for another NL West showdown, July 20th through the 22nd. And the first 20,000 fans with us Saturday, July 21st, get the brand new Jake Lamb bobblehead. That's courtesy of Arizona Milk Producers. You can get your tickets and your bobblehead secured right now, dbacks.com. Rockies and Dodgers right now tied up in LA. Actually, Dodgers taking a lead 5-4 in the bottom of the 8th inning at Dodger Stadium. Welcome inside Chase Field. There's Holly, center field. Hi, Holly.
Don't bother. She's working.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's Chris Owings. You never know where you're going to find her. She's at a different camera all the time. Co's had a good day, an RBI sac fly and a base hit. And they're at second for Ketel Marte after Marte left the game last night with a leg cramp. He's okay. Pierce Johnson back out there for the Giants. Curveball's a strike, 0-2. Daniel Descalso is in the on-deck circle, ready to hit for Bracho.
Diamondbacks running out of outs quickly here in this ball game. It helped to get that leadoff man on.
That one's poked foul.
Co had a really nice at bat back in that fourth inning after Jake Lamb singled to lead it off. He saw about 9 pitches before singling into center field himself. Really had to battle.
Swing and a miss. Got the curveball. Third straight strikeout for Johnson.
That right foot for Chris Owings. That was an issue for him in the past. Occasionally, as he was swinging, that right foot actually works its way farther away from home plate. Really doesn't have much balance, doesn't have much base underneath him when that right foot goes flying the way it has recently.
Descalso, 254, 9 homers, 7 for 16 as a pinch hitter this year, including a home run. Giants have the shift on. Jorge De La Rosa getting ready in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. We've been reading some letters. We got another one here from Ron Darling of Scottsdale, Arizona.
Ron Darling?
No, he signs it Ron Darling, not the former pitcher. But he humbly submits that we should be calling heretofore. Very fancy letter. Daniel Descalso should be known as Triple D. Dangerous, D, and Descalso. That doesn't quite add up, but that's what he's got. So, yeah, it's signed Ron Darling, not the former Mets and A's pitcher.
And he dropped a heretofore?
He did.
He must be an attorney.
He says he once met you at Tom Brenneman's party. Bob, we once met back in 2004 at Tom Brenneman's Christmas party. He designed Tom and Polly's home there in Scottsdale.
Very
which
nice.
Beautiful
home. Yeah.
May have been why Tom moved. I don't know. No, it's kidding. But thank you, Ron. Well, I don't know if Triple D, Double D, Triple D is a bit of a stretch. But thank you, Ron Darling. Maybe the third D is for Darling. You'll have to pass that through your committee and see if it'll stick.
Well, we got to check with Toby.
That's true. He is the nickname czar.
He's the czar of nicknames, yes.
Toby, thumbs. Oh, wow.
No Triple D.
No Triple D. Well, Ron, we put it to the committee and it was shot down in session, but we appreciate your letter. That's some fuzzy math on that. Daniel and capital D Descalso for your 3 Ds. Full count, 3-2 on Daniel Descalso. Popped up first base side. Belt and Panic over there. Panic's got it, 2 down. Good day for Gerard Dyson. Center field leadoff man today. Chaz Roberts, air conditioning and plumbing, cool plays of the game. He's got 2 stolen bases, a walk, and 2 RBI singles.
He's done what a leadoff hitter's supposed to do: get on base, set the table for the guys behind you. As you said, a couple of base hits, a couple of RBIs, a walk, 2 stolen bases. He's been busy today filling up that box score.
Stolen bases 15 and 16. This is why all his teammates call him Zoom. Trying to go out there one more time. Slater coming in. And Johnson has retired all 6 he's faced. D-backs trail at 8-3. Years of D-backs baseball, they did an amazing job on that to celebrate the 20th anniversary. You can walk through there here for free at Chase Field. It is just beautiful. All kinds of mementos and photos, artifacts out there. If you come out to the ballpark, that is a must-see. They did a wonderful job. Jorge De La Rosa is the new D-backs pitcher to start the 7th inning. Pierce Johnson, the Giants pitcher, will hit for himself to lead it off. This is, I believe, his first career major league plate appearance. That is correct. The numbers on Jorge De La Rosa this year. Pierce Johnson 3 for 33 in the minors, but he's got 7 RBIs. He's had some big hits. Right to Lamb at 3rd.
We talked about Pierce Johnson when we were in San Francisco earlier this year. Very odd. He was a compensation round pick, 43rd overall back in 2012. As recently as 2015, he was ranked as the 9th best prospect in the Cubs organization, and he was just waived in the middle of September last year, not even at the end of the season. It's September 20th they cut him loose. Giants picked him up.
Well, we've done a good job so far today. Here's Gorkys Hernandez. To Hopper to Owings at 2nd.
Hey, the 4th of July is going to be spectacular here at Chase Field this Wednesday. Game time is 7 o'clock against the Cardinals, followed by the best fireworks show in town, presented by Gila River Hotels and Casinos. Visit dbacks.com for more info.
Shift is on now for Brandon Belt, who has walked. He's got an RBI double and an RBI single. 2 for 3. Belt has homered twice off left-handers this year. He's about a .250 hitter versus lefties.
Partner, I know you know who Michael Lorenzen is. Have you seen what he's done lately?
I saw last night he hit another home run.
3 straight at-bats with a homer.
And he's not a hitter.
He's a pitcher.
But he was a very good two-way player as a young amateur player. I guess they made him choose one or the other, and he chose pitching, but he can really swing it.
The last pitcher to hit home runs in 3 consecutive at-bats was Mike Hampton back in *01. Boy, he could hit. Mike Hampton. And Diamondbacks fans will remember Micah Owings, who was a really good hitting pitcher, had a career .283 average, had 9 homers and just over 200 plate appearances in his career.
Boy, this game may lead the league in scuds for both teams. I mean, both teams have been spraying the ball around here. McCutchen on deck. Belt ahead 3-1. This is with a fastball in. Belt aboard for the 4th time today.
Right fielder Andrew McCutchen.
Here's McCutchen 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Dodgers now leading the Rockies 6-4. 8th inning at Dodger Stadium. LA getting to Adam Ottavino. Cardinals are in here tomorrow, first of 3. They're flying in from St. Louis, where the Braves beat them 6-5 today. Here's a look at the shift against McCutchen. This is with a splitter down low, and it's 2-0. McCutchen can walk after this year. He's in the final season of his original contract with Pittsburgh. It's the club option year, just under $15 million, so he can hit free agency this winter. That'll be interesting to see where he lands.
Well, if this past offseason with free agents was any indication, I think some of the guys are going to have to really do some serious shopping to find a landing spot and probably have to take a serious pay cut in order to do so.
Yeah, some of the guys that signed early got good deals. Lorenzo Cain did well. Jay Bruce did okay with the Mets in terms of money anyway. But yeah, the other guys. We'll see how it goes this winter. Might be a little different. Jake Lamb collects that one. And we hit the bottom of the 7th inning. D-backs trail the Giants 8-3. But first, here's the voice of Chase Field, Mr. Chuck Draga.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now ask that you please rise and sing along as we pay tributes to our great nation with the singing of God Bless America.
Our team basically ran into some tough luck, and we weren't hitting the ball. We came out the other end of that, started winning games, and I think that's where we are right now.
Torey Lovello talking this morning about the team's offense and how they've started to sputter a little bit right now. But guys, he said the most impressive thing about May was the way this team stuck together. There was no pointing fingers, no getting down. They were united, and he believes that was the key to getting out of it. And so I'm sure we'll see that same camaraderie through this stretch as well.
Here's a good start, Kate, for Nick Ahmed, who hits it over the head of Hernandez into right center. And Nick is in at third, standing up with a triple.
We were talking about Nick earlier in the ballgame. When he gets favorable counts and gets pitches in the strike zone, he's taking aggressive swings. He just drove that one over the head of Gorkys Hernandez into that gap in right center for an easy leadoff triple.
But to Torey's point, the team over the last 2 weeks, Bob, is hitting under 220. So it's been a 2-week stretch here where even though they've been winning most of those games, the offense has been hard to come by at times. Goldie hits one out there. How about that? Make it 8-5. That's number 18 for Paul Goldschmidt.
Center cut fastball at 94. Goldie rifles it out of here into the Ram Trucks pool area out there. Oh, what a start to this inning.
That's a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at Jack in the Box with a purchase of a large drink. That's also, wait for it, Kurt Young. No, that's not quite where we were going.
No, right now we have sad talkers
There it
because
is.
we still trail by 3, but working our way back.
It's a ball game again. Kurt Young out to talk to Johnson. Christian Walker, the hitter, a triple and a homer start off the D-backs 7th. Giants bullpen starts to get busy again. Fly ball, center field, Gorkys Hernandez. The D-backs coming out aggressive against Johnson here. His 3rd inning of work. Peralta, the hitter now. 0 for 3. Here comes Bruce Bochy. D-backs back within 3. Still plenty of time left. New pitcher on his way in back after this. Back on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. Game 3 of the Padres series coming up on Saturday. Oscar Soria, Rodrigo Lopez. 7 o'clock, presented by your Valley Honda dealer, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. To find the Plus channel listings and the 25-game Spanish broadcast schedule, visit foxsportsarizona.com. You need to stop checking in with those guys on your World Cup pool. I think they're giving you some bad info.
What's that? What?
All the mistakes, the crossouts.
Those aren't mistakes. If you correct them, they're not mistakes.
Okay, there's Sam Dyson, who's been working as the Giants closer with Hunter Strickland on the DL. So he's on here in the 7th inning. Here's Peralta. Swinging bunt. Hundley's on it, and they retire David. John Ryan Murphy now. Dyson's a ground ball guy. Top 6 among National League relievers in terms of ground ball percentage. But he's had a bumpy road here lately, Dyson. His last 10 appearances, 0-2 with an ERA over 7.5. Fly ball for McCutchen in right field. Long run. And he won't get there. It drops in. John Ryan Murphy has a double, his 7th. D-backs a single away from the cycle in this inning.
The ball slicing away from McCutchen the entire time was a fastball pretty much right down the middle of the plate and down a little bit. John Ryan gives it a ride down into that right field corner. By the time McCutchen chases it down, he's in scoring position at second base for Jake Lamb.
Jake has a double, a single. He scored twice today. Left center. Slater's there. Ahmed starts it off with a triple, and then Goldie, his 18th of the year. Into the pull area. D-backs are back in it. It's 8-5 as we head to the 8th.
player development did a great job of getting him some innings and getting him some work, and they signed off on it and said that he was ready for this, ready to play left field. And Mike Hazen and I discussed it a couple days ago and thought that it would be a good day to rotate one of our left-handed hitting outfielders out and get him a day off and see how it looked.
That's Torey Lovullo addressing why Christian Walker got the start today in left field. As for how Christian feels about this, well, Torey said he sees the writing on the wall. He knows he plays the same position as one of the best in the game, that being Goldie, of course. So he said Christian was excited to get out there and not just have a random at-bat when he's called upon in a pinch, but rather get some consistencies at home plate.
Yeah, trying to get him some at-bats so it's not just a pinch hit appearance here and there. And he's worked hard on his defense in the outfield. A dozen starts down there in Reno. Crawford leads off the 8th for the Giants.
Well, for years, players have said that that's one of the toughest jobs in the game, being a pinch hitter, because of the things we just mentioned. You don't get regular at bats. You don't see good live game pitching on a regular basis. And then suddenly you're out there facing the other team's closer in the 9th inning with the game on the line. And it's tough to expect the pinch hitters to come through in those situations if they haven't had some recent at bats against live game pitching. And with A.J. Pollock and Steven Souza due to return from the disabled list soon, you'll have a couple of right-handed hitting outfielders available to spell those lefties from time to time. And it remains to be seen where Christian Walker will fit into the mix at that point.
There's Mike Hazen, the GM. Expecting Pollock and Souza back soon. Then you're going to have a tricky rotation for Torey Lovullo, because you're going to have Peralta in left. You're going to have AJ in center. You're going to have Souza in right. And then you've got Jay and Dyson and some other guys, Owings and Walker, in the mix as well. So they got to sort that out at some point. But they're not quite there yet. Hundley on deck. He's singled twice and walked today. Good splitter from De La Rosa. Gets his first strikeout.
Not an easy guy to punch out for a righty or a lefty, the way Brandon Crawford's been swinging the bat lately, but Jorge De La Rosa able to put that splitter in a real good spot that time.
Hundley walked and scored in the 2nd, had an RBI single in the 3rd and singled in the 6th. Well, every time we play the Giants and this guy's in the lineup, that's pretty much what he does. Couple of hits, couple of RBIs.
And I don't think he's changed his approach at the plate one bit since he got to the major leagues. He looks like the same guy standing in that batter's box he did when he made his debut. And as I mentioned, he's fashioned himself a really nice career as a backup catcher. His manager, Bruce Bochy, was pretty much the prototype for backup catchers. Backed up Terry Kennedy, backed up Benito Santiago in San Diego, and Boch would get his 1 or 2 starts every couple of weeks and do a nice job behind the plate. He threw extremely well, and every now and then he'd lean into one and hit it up in the seats at old Jack Murphy Stadium. Exactly what you want from your backup catcher.
Well, Hundley's at it again. It's in the corner. On base for the 4th time today.
Buster who? Got a splitter in the strike zone and down, and bangs it out into that left field corner.
Well, I'm sure it's nice when you give Buster Posey an off day. The guy that fills in hits 2 singles, a double, and a base on balls. Alan Hansen took over at 3rd when Sandoval was hit on the elbow by a pitch. Hansen is 0 for 10 in the series. He walked and scored in the 5th. Jake Lamb at third. Looks Hundley back. Now a final in LA. The Dodgers beat the Rockies 6-4. So the D-backs, unless something changes here, will drop to 2.5 games ahead of LA. And the Giants, who are tied with the Dodgers in second for the division.
Nolan Arenado with home run number 21 in that game for the Dodgers. Matt Kemp hit number 14.
Boy, Arenado's hit a whole bunch of homers lately. That's where the Giants go next. This is a 6-game trip for them. They will play 3 against the Rockies at Coors Field after today. Giants 4 over 500. They've won 9 of their last 11. And they'll give Slater the free pass and work the left-hand hitting Panic.
I mentioned that Cubs Twins game. Cubs beating the Twins 11-10 today. John Lester hit a home run in that ball game.
John Lester. Panic has a pair of RBI singles. Now Murphy needs to talk it over. Here comes Nick Ahmed.
Well, this is definitely a meeting about the signs with the runner at second base. Anytime you call in those middle infielders and have the gloves up in front of the face, that's an indication you're changing some signs. You want to let everybody know exactly what's going on with that runner peeking right into John Ryan Murphy's signs. I mentioned Nolan Arenado with home run number 21. That leads the National League. Just Dingers leads the American League with 25.
Red Sox have a big one. David Price on the mound at Yankee Stadium. That's the night game tonight. Here's the split, 1-1. Panic this year is under 190 with runners in scoring position. He's got 2 on and 2 out. It's a big at bat in the ball game. If you want to still have a chance to come back and win, you got to strand these 2 runners. You're down to your final 6 offensive outs. And Jorge ahead 1-2. Well, Panic has laid off the splitter. That fastball was low, and now it's full 3-2. Austin Jackson in the on-deck circle. He would hit for the pitcher. Runners on the move. Ground ball to second for Owens. De La Rosa strands 2. It stays 8-5.
And pitching has not been the word of the day, with both teams combining for 24 hits in this game. Zach Godley had a rough go. We'll talk about that on the postgame show coming up, Gracie. But you also did, during the pregame, said you wanted to see some offense, and you got a little bit.
You did, and you had some opportunities early in the ball game. The Diamondbacks scored 3 runs. They could have had a few more, but it's good to see Goldie hit a big long ball to get them right back in the game.
All right, so plenty to break down on the postgame. Join us for D-backs Live, presented by CenturyLink. And yes, we're hoping for more offense, guys.
Yeah, that would do nicely, wouldn't it, here? Tony Watson, the left-hander, on to start the 8th inning. 14 straight scoreless appearances, including an inning here Friday night in the opener. Chris Owings leads it off, and John Jay is in the on-deck circle. He would hit for De La Rosa. Watson grabs it, and they retire CO. Watson has now gone 14 1/3 innings without giving up a run. That's the 5th longest active streak in the league, and now Jay will pinch hit. John Jay, 287, 2 home runs.
Sorry, partner. Breaking news from Cincinnati today. They beat the Brewers 8-2 and held Eric Thames hitless.
Huh? Slater in left.
Eric Thames in 22 career games against the Cincinnati Reds has hit .329. 22 games now. 14 home runs.
Oh, wow.
And 25 driven in. He went 0 for 3 today against the Cincinnati Reds.
Boy, oh boy.
22 games total. 20 of those were starts. Twice he came off the bench, either as a defensive replacement or a pinch hitter.
That sounds like a beat the streak. You up to 2 now?
Yeah, I believe I am. Maybe 3.
Stay hot.
Rarefied air up there at 3.
That's all. You got a long way to go to catch up to Peg. Peggy in our lunchroom, I think she's up to 9, 8 or 9. She had a 12 or 14 game earlier this year. Dyson down 0-2. Peggy has a very good system. She liked the name Mookie, so she picked Mookie Betts. And she recognized the name Longoria. She said, now Eva Longoria is an actress, so I'll take Evan Longoria. That was a couple weeks ago. She's got a very intricate system.
It works a lot better than mine. I know that. And I think we made a strategic error in inviting Josh Simon of our ticket office into our group. He's red hot. I think he's up to 19 or 20.
And he just started playing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see. If you're going to fall in line with the group, you got to lose a lot more often. You need a lot more offers. Well, Watson comes in, does the job. A 1-2, 3/8. It stays 8-5. Tigers at the Rogers Center. Nicholas Castellanos beat Kevin Pillar. Now that's how you celebrate Canada Day. Although the Blue Jays did lose 9-1.
Because they wore red jerseys.
Well, it's Canada Day.
They're the Blue Jays.
That's a fair point. Well, but the Maple Leaf flag is red and white, the Canadian flag on Canada Day. It's like wearing red, white, and blue on the 4th of July, which we'll do here Wednesday.
Yeah.
Now you've upset the Canadians.
I did that when I played for Toronto.
Haven't we done that enough lately? Here's Fernando Salas. Yes, you'd think you would have some coverage there, being a former Blue Jays great yourself. You should have known that, actually. Did you play on Canada Day? Were you a Blue Jay then, July 1st?
I didn't make it all the way. Well, July 1st, I'd have to look back.
All right.
It was around the 1st of July when I got canned.
So no wonder you hate Canada Day. Austin Jackson hits for the pitcher, Watson. Fernando Salas on to start the 9th.
I've told the story in the past. Cito Gaston was our manager. We were playing in Seattle and had just finished the series, and we were all packing up and getting ready to go. And the equipment man came to my locker and said, "Skip wants to see you," which is never, ever good news. And I went into Cito's office and thought he was going to tear up immediately. I think I was the first guy that he ever had to release.
Wow.
And I told him, "Cito, don't feel bad. Geez, I'm only hitting about $170. I fully expected this at some time." But, you know, I know now after being a manager, that's one of the worst parts of the job. When you either have to release somebody or send them back to the minor leagues, that's never a comfortable meeting. But I tried to make it as comfortable for Cito as I could because it wasn't his fault.
If only everybody had that opinion.
Well, it got worse, though. I mean, I got released. The team went on to Kansas City or wherever. I'm left in the clubhouse in Seattle and made some plans to get back home. And my luggage all got lost. All my equipment got lost. It went to Kansas City with the team. They sent it back to Toronto. Eventually, it made its way home.
Austin Jackson hits it deep in the left center. A double off of Salas.
Well, ask and ye shall receive. My staff says I did not play on Canada Day.
I'll see now. Well, these two teams have combined for 25 hits. They've left 20 on base. And you want to keep this 8-5 here. Still a 3-run ball game, 9th inning. Gorkys Hernandez, the leadoff man. So Salas with some work to do here. Good fastball in, 0-1. Pops up the bunt attempt. Murphy can't quite get there. Giants today with runners in scoring position, 7 for 17. D-backs just 3 for 10. They're 7 for 17 with runners in scoring position, and they've still stranded 12. 0-2 on Gorkys Hernandez. Brandon Belt on deck. Ouch.
It looked like it hit the pad, but the pad's there for a reason. He's probably got a bad bruise underneath it, and that still hurts. I still have a soft spot on my left ankle.
Really?
I took batting practice my first day as a Toronto Blue Jay down in Dunedin, and the first day of live batting practice I got to face Dwayne Ward,
Good luck.
Who threw like a 99-mile-an-hour sinker.
Yep.
And I put down my 2 bunts and I'm ready. Okay, hit and run. And he threw that sinker down and in. I swung at it and just drove it. I mean, exit velocity of 110 right off my ankle. And I still have a soft spot and a little bit of a bruise that's still there to this day.
Are you supposed to throw hard sinkers in batting practice?
Well, the pitchers have to get ready in spring training too. That's why I dreaded that. All hitters dread that first day of live BP. You got pitchers out there carving you up, throwing all kinds of good stuff up to the plate, and all you've done is hit off a tee all winter.
Oh, 0-2. Doesn't bite on the low curveball. Just foul at third. There's the Dark Knight, Tom Harvey, pouncing on that one. Thumbs up. Lays off another breaking ball, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hernandez been hot last 11 games. He's hitting over 340, including 3 home runs. Belt's had a big day. He's walked twice, singled and doubled. Peralta in right field, back it up. Here comes Jackson. He'll head for third. What's next brought to you by CenturyLink. The St. Louis Cardinals come in tomorrow night, first of 3. Robbie Ray and Carlos Martinez, one of the best pitchers in the National League, will go for St. Louis. Zach Greinke Tuesday. And then 4th of July, Patrick Corbin on the mound. A big post-game fireworks spectacular here at the ballpark. So 3 against St. Louis starts tomorrow. Then the Padres in for 4 on Thursday. They'll give Belt the free pass and work to the right-hand hitting McCutchen. McCutchen 0 for 5. He has punched out 3 times. Pops it up. Owings backing up out there. Boy, the Giants scored 8 runs on 15 hits, and their number 3 hitter went 0 for 6.
We mentioned it earlier. The bottom of the order has been doing a lot of the damage today, starting with Austin Slater in that 7 spot. He's got 2 hits and 2 walks, scored a run, drove in a run. Joe Panik in the 8 spot with a couple of base hits, drove in 2, scored 1. Even the pitcher spot has scored 2 runs and driven in 2 today on 3 hits.
Well, another big at bat in the ball game for the D-backs bullpen. If they're going to keep this close, they got to get Crawford here. And he's 1 for 4, singled and scored in the 3rd. Mark Melanson, the one-time closer, starts to get it cranked up. D-backs in the bottom of the 9th will have Ahmed Goldie Walker due up 2, 3, and 4. So you really want to keep this 8-5 right here with the big boys coming up. And Crawford punches it the other way. Jackson is home. They'll stop Belt at 3rd. RBI double for Crawford, make it 9-5 Giants.
We saw Brandon Crawford earlier this year, and he couldn't get out of his own way offensively. He can't make an out right now. Everything he hits is barreled up.
Brandon Crawford, since May 1st, hitting over 370, the highest batting average in the majors over the last 2 months. Here's Hundley, who's done everything. He's walked, got an RBI single, another single, a double. He scored a run, 3 for 4. Well, as you once told me, sometimes you just got to rake your own leaves.
That's right. Glenn Allen Hill.
Still don't know what that means.
I don't either.
But it seems appropriate now. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, Glenn Allen Hill, when he was playing for the Giants for Dusty Baker, and got himself picked off first base one time, and when he came back to the dugout, Dusty said, "Gee, what are you thinking about out there?" And Glenn Allen Hill said, "Dusty, man, sometimes you just got to rake your own leaves," and turned around and walked away.
What else was there to say?
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
1-1.
Glenn Allen Hill was one of those ball players that should have been included in the home run derby every year of his career. Whether he was a starting player, whether he had any at bats, it didn't matter. He was one of the best batting practice home run hitters I ever saw.
Just have to have the derby at about 3:30 in the afternoon. High in the air to center for Dyson. Giants tack on one more, so it's 9-5 as we head to the home half of the 9th inning. Goldie due up second. All kinds of offense, and this one just not quite enough as of yet from the D-backs, but they still have a chance here. Bottom 9 down 4. Against the new pitcher for the Giants, the right-hander Mark Melanson, who missed almost 60 games this year with a right elbow flexor strain. Came off the DL June 1st, and he's kind of been working his way back ever since.
His calling card has always been that cut fastball. Has a pretty good straight changeup to go along with it.
Nick Ahmed, who tripled and scored to lead off the 7th, starts us off in the 9th. Nick has singled and tripled. He's hit safely in 5 straight. Giants 9 runs, 16 hits. D-backs 5 runs, 10 hits. Oh, Brandon Bell, top shelf. Hang with him, Nick. That should have been his 3rd hit today.
Sometimes this game just isn't fair. That's a good piece of hitting. A cutter working its way away from Nick. He does exactly what you're supposed to do. Stay on it. Try to drive it to the opposite field. Unfortunately, Brandon Belt right there.
Goldie homered his last time up, his 18th of the year. Goldie's homer is 18th, only his 5th here at Chase Field all season. He's hit a lot better on the road than he has here at home. Curveball's a strike. Here it is after Ahmed tripled. Center field, Hernandez coming in. Well, the Giants have not swept the D-backs here at Chase Field since September of 2016. It's up to Christian Walker now to keep this thing going. Christian singled in the 3rd, 1 for 4 today. Gracie and Jody standing by. D-backs live post-game show after the ball game. D-backs, if nothing changes here, will drop back down to 10 over 500. And they will hold a 2.5 game lead atop the NL West ahead of both the Dodgers and the Giants. Dodgers beat the Rockies today 6-4. Giants looking for their 10th win in their last 12. From here they head to Colorado. They'll play the Rockies in a 3-game series. Out to left. That's a base hit for Christian. His 2nd hit today.
He's kind of had to fight that one off. A cutter inside, got down near the handle a little bit, but gets it over the head of the Giants infield in front of Austin Slater out there in left field.
There's Peralta 0 for 4. Belt playing behind the runner Walker at first. There goes Christian. David hits it through. Walker's got to look behind him. Has to stop at second. You got to be absolutely sure here, down 4 runs. So a couple of 2-out singles brings up John Ryan Murphy.
First pitch cutter inside corner. David is very familiar with Mark Melancon, and he knows his MO. He's going to get on that first cutter in the strike zone. Christian Walker was on the move. Ball got through into right field. He was late picking up Tony Perez-Chica at 3rd base. As you mentioned, had to look back over his shoulder, and by the time he realized where the ball was, no chance to regroup and head on to 3rd.
All right, still with a heartbeat here. John Ryan has walked, doubled, and scored a run today. Doubled his last time up. Now that layer of glass along the left field third base line starting to make that band of sunlight come across the pitcher's mound. Walker's at second, Peralta's at first, 2 outs. Melanson the pitcher in sunshine, Murphy the hitter in shadow. Will Smith. He got the save here Friday night. Starts to get loose. Lamb is on deck. Two and one. John Ryan trying to get aboard. That would bring the tying run to the plate. There's that cutter that Bob mentioned, tailing away from the right-hand batter. Melanson put it in a good spot, 2-2. Lamb hoping to get a chance. Good pick by Hundley. Full count, 3-2. Base hit. Here comes Walker. Peralta's in at third. And the D-backs with 2 outs will get the tying run to the plate in Jake Lamb. Bruce Bochy is going to bring in his left-hander, Will Smith. 3 straight 2-out singles.
Another cutter up, out over the plate. John Ryan pulls it back through the left side of the infield. With Christian Walker on the move, he's going to score easily. And David Peralta goes first to third.
Tying run is at the plate. Bottom 9, 2 outs. Lamb and Smith when we come back. He got his first save Friday night since April of 2014. He's coming off Tommy John surgery. He struck out Jake Lamb to start the 9th inning in that game here Friday night, and now Lamb is the hitter again. The tying run at the plate, 2 outs, bottom 9. Jake has doubled and singled against lefty Derek Holland here today. Slider is up but in there, 0-1. Murphy scoots into second and Lamb is down 0-2. Well, if they want to work him away, that'll work out just fine. Jake can knock it into left center field and make it a 1-run game. Waves and a slider. And the Giants come in here and sweep the Diamondbacks. 9-6 the final.
Boy, both teams may have to take 2 showers to wash this ugly ball game off. Very sloppy starting pitchers for both teams, not on top of their game. Lots of offense, but Diamondbacks just couldn't come up with that big knock when they needed it most.
And the Giants get their first sweep here at Chase Field since September of 2016. Gracie standing by with Jody.
Yeah, certainly disappointing to come home after an 8-2 road trip and get swept by the Giants. And we'll talk about Zach Godley with Bob Brunley as well. But offensively, as good as it was to see some runs, bases loaded, this is an area that the team has struggled this year, and that was the situation they had early in this game.
Yeah, it wasn't because of lack of base runners, Jody. They had lots of opportunities, especially early in the game. Derek Holland walked a bunch of batters, and then they also got plenty of base hits. They left a lot of guys on base. 13 hits, lots of base runners. Unfortunately, the Diamondbacks couldn't get the big hit, as Bob Brindley said.
All right, we will break it all down. We'll have a reaction from inside the clubhouse. Kate Longworth will bring you those interviews. You'll hear from the manager, Troy Lovello, as well as we wrap up this series with the Giants, where they go ahead and take all 3 games. But first, it's the post-game show D-backs Live presented by CenturyLink, and it's coming your way next.